Hey guys, I figured I would do a little bit of a different video just for the time being. On Sunday, we're going to be talking about, religious trauma and how that impacts you. But for today, I want to share some thoughts on the racially motivated massacre in Buffalo. I've been getting a lot of text messages, emails, even phone calls regarding what has happened. And what I'm noticing is a lot of people scrambling for why did this happen. They're not only scrambling for for understanding, I guess I should say, of why this is happening or why this has happened, but they're also wondering how to fix it. And that's where I have to rely on the psychology of racism and the psychology that I have been up under for many, many years, learning and meeting with people and dealing with erroneous concepts and ideologies and belief systems and indoctrinating, environments to help me help you understand what is going on. The psychology of racism is pretty deep. And one of the reasons why is because it doesn't matter how much education a person who is deeply racist gets, in order to help them understand other people. It doesn't matter how much of that they get. They're still going to be the same racist and prejudiced, person that they have always been. It's almost like being inbred, right? When you're indoctrinated, when you are taught to believe that you are better, that you are superior, it's easy to hang on to those beliefs and not shake them off and let them go. Now, there are some people in the world, and I know two of them, for example, who were once very racist and prejudiced and discriminatory and did a whole 180, 360 turnaround, And then there are those people who just simply won't change. And that's because there's a lot going on at the core. So let me just introduce myself in case you are new. I know that every video I do, you might be new, so I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Tamara. I'm internationally and board certified in trauma therapy. I'm licensed in mental health. I specialize in my private practice in treating children, teens, and families, as well as adults who are dealing with trauma. In addition to that, I am also the author of an upcoming book with a publishing company in 2023 about racism. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to go ahead and post a link to that in the description box below. I'm targeting the same age group of the man. I'm going to call him a man because technically that's what he is, that engaged in this highly charged racist massacre. So I'm looking forward to that book a lot. I think we need the healing, we need the insight, we need the information. So let me give you two concepts of racism. One is the cultural view. And the cultural view of racism says this, that, racism is basically something that has become an inborn belief system, an indoctrination at the core of a person, of society. It has been built and has been kind of built up in a hierarchy in our society through the roots that this country was laid down upon. So let me clarify that. So racism started as slavery in the U.S. There were also slave owners who brought slaves over to this country from other countries. And our nation has been built upon that ugly history. And so therefore, our cultural, psychological approach to understanding racism is that you can't necessarily get rid of it because it just so happens that it is something that is foundational. It's in our roots, it's in our, in our history, and it is firmly and concretely in our history. The second view is the social psychological view, which says this, that, okay, maybe it's not built through the roots of our nation, but rather in individuals who possess racist beliefs and attitudes and behaviors. And so because of that, we need to target the individuals in our nation who tend to be racist rather than delve into the roots of our history and deal with it there. So those are the two kind of mindsets that psychologists and sociologists hold about racism. There's a ton more, but those tend to be the most prominent. I want to go through here what could have possibly encouraged this young man who doesn't even have a century of experience. Like, he is a baby in terms of his age and in terms of his understanding of the world, which causes me to think that he's been indoctrinated by an older adult or a group of adults or white supremacist groups who have kind of changed and skewed his perception of reality so much that he felt life in prison was worth it. It should boggle your mind that he would go that far and that he would give his life up and throw his life away as a quote unquote young man because of his racist and very ignorant and limiting beliefs. It's frightening. I'm going to give you a couple theories that may have prompted this. And I'm definitely in this video going to stay away from the mental health and insanity part of this, because we all know that if he gets a defense attorney who wants to fight this, he's probably going to go the route of the insanity defense, or he's going to go the route of he's been so indoctrinated that there's underlying trauma, and he's probably going to try to pull apart this young man's history and get him off. He needs life in prison because there's something else going on here, and I know that's a strong statement, but it is what it is. His views, his indoctrinated mindset and emotions do not deserve a place in our society, because he's going to hurt again. So let me give you some ideas. The first is the Darwinian view of the survival of the fittest. Now, this particular mindset basically says this, that I am at a particular place in my life where I feel that I am superior to all other individuals. And because of the color of my skin, and because of the mindset that I have, and because of the things that I've been afforded within the nation, just because of the color of my skin and the politics and the cultural ignorance that dominates my world, I feel that I am up here and I feel that you are down here. It's almost like it's some kind of a gospel. It's really disturbing to process that, but that Darwinian view of you're there down there and I'm up here because of the color of my skin and because of the fact that I feel that I biologically have some superior traits, whatever they think that is, that kind of a mindset is just plain ignorance. You know, the second theory of this is groupthink. Groupthink is the whole idea that you're a part of a particular in-group, and in order to stay in good standing with that in-group, you have to go against another group of people. It's kind of like sports, when you go to the stadium and all of the, certain team players are all wearing red, they have on, they have pom-poms and they have on the colors of the team, and everybody's, like a family, and everybody's close-knit and together and having fun and really feeling the same emotions and having the same thoughts as other people for that particular sports team. That is groupthink. And in order to stay in good standing with those individuals who are embracing the idea of we're the in-group, right? We're groupthink, we're dealing with groupthink here. People who are in that mindset cannot jump to the other side of the world or they're going to get ousted. So what's the best way to stay involved in a positive way with the in-group? It's to believe what they believe. It's to embrace what they embrace, to dress like they dress, to behave as they behave, right? To have the same emotions. And sometimes groupthink is what leads to bullying, harassment, stalking, and other crimes, because they have to be a part of this particular group in order to stay in good standing. Think of gangs, for example, right? This is a whole groupthink mindset, that in order to be in the in-group, they have to stay involved in that gang and hurt other people and manipulate other people and take from other people, because if they don't, they're not going to be accepted. And that's likely what has happened in many cases involving racism, The next thing is diffusion of responsibility. And I'm really getting at the concept of somebody older ignorant, uneducated, detached from the modern times of society, and somebody that believes in the Darwinian theory that they are biologically superior. This diffusion of responsibility can be this: I'm going to indoctrinate and fill my grandchild or my child's head up with so much ignorance and incorrect knowledge that they're going to do what I don't want to do. And so let's say, for example, that this young man had somebody in his family who indoctrinated him and encouraged him to believe this way and think this way. Let's just say that happened. Diffusion of responsibility is this: I'm going to back up and let you take care of it because I don't want to be in that, right? I'm going to leave the responsibility up to you, and I'm not going to step out and do it. I'm just going to step back, take my hands off, and hope that you do the job for me. Another concept is embedded prejudice and racism from early development. If you guys are with me most of the time on my channel when I'm talking about trauma, and even those of you who are new, you're most likely going to see a lot of my videos that talks about early childhood development. And that is the most important piece of development, is that infancy, right? That 0 to 2 years old time frame, right? Or technically, I should say 0 to 5 is the most important part of development for children. You've been indoctrinated, or if you've been emotionally manipulated to believe a certain way, or you're growing up hearing your parents talk about race and how they're not as good as we are, and this is how ignorant they are, and look at that person over there. If you're getting that kind of mental and emotional stimulation at a young age, you're most likely going to be an individual who has embedded prejudice and discrimination. Another theory is a false narrative of history. There's a lot of people who are racist and prejudiced and discriminatory, who hold on to false ideologies, false history, and false cultural knowledge. And one of the reasons why is because it's a whole lot easier to hold on to a lie than it is to just step back and allow other people to have freedom to live, to think, to breathe, to exist, right? Everybody who is a living, breathing creature deserves the air, the sun, the world, and happy places in their life as much as another race of people. No one is beneath the normal, natural things that a human being needs. But when you hold on to false ideologies and cultural beliefs and, false ignorance, or maybe I should not call it false ignorance, I should call it maybe false rationalizing of racism, right? Because there are some people who just rationalize racism and they make it okay in their head. So people who are holding on to that are going to believe what they want to believe, and they may act out violently because, again, it's this inbred belief system that to them is completely okay. The next thing is a belief that racism and prejudice can be hidden. There is no such thing as hidden racism. It's going to come out in some form, whether it's a massacre, a tragedy, being fired, whether it's walking past someone in a store, giving them a certain look, whether it's a microaggression, right, or macroaggression, whether it's you're not getting that nice home because I'm sorry, it's been taken. Whatever the situation is, racism cannot be hidden. It is something that is very, very, very much felt. It's felt, intuitively felt, spiritually and emotionally felt, and psychologically felt, right? So no matter how many smiles you put on your face, no matter how many Black people you claim that you are a friend to, or you work with, or you don't have a problem with, that doesn't mean you're not racist, right? And so that's kind of the point I'm getting at here. These particular beliefs are not hidden. And this young man who went into a grocery store and killed and harmed innocent people just shopping, doing what perhaps his family does. People like this and those beliefs, are tragic, right? It's terrible. And holding those kind of beliefs can force an individual into a very bad place, just like this young man was forced into by his ignorance, and most likely by other people in his family and in his friend group. It's very, very it's disturbing to think about what may have happened to him over the years. Let's just say also too, I'm going to add to this: anger, rage, and personal insecurity has a lot to do with racism. You know, holding racist beliefs really does put you at a superior place, right? Because again, you're believing the Darwinian theory that, you know, that I am biologically superior and better. And so therefore that kind of bumps you up a little bit, right? And if you're the individual who is being kind of molded like clay to believe certain things by your friend group, by supremacy groups, by your family, right, by teachers, and sometimes even police officers and other people in high positions who may know you, right, then you're most likely going to feel less insecure. You're probably going to feel rather confident in your erroneous and limited beliefs. You know, let's also look at projection, right? Maybe he has low self-esteem. Maybe he's angry because he's who he is. Maybe he didn't, you know, feel very educated and accepted in his school. Maybe he flunked 12th grade, right? Maybe he dropped out of school. Whatever the case is, you know, we can kind of look at this and kind of ask ourselves, is this projection? Is something going on here at the psychological level that we need to look into a little closer, you know? The hierarchy mindset. I am here and you are here. And so we're in balance because I'm better than you and you're not. Hierarchical mindset can really put that racist person in a position of power. And again, that particular mindset may in fact be projection. And lastly, you know, I think we also need to look at, you know, the whole idea that racism is basically the whole idea of entitlement as well. And the feelings of entitlement can either come from upbringing or it could come from just experience, you know. Whether you're teaching your child or whether you're learning things about entitlement doesn't really matter. The issue is this: if you have an inborn, and if they have an inborn idea that they are entitled to certain things that other people are not entitled to, you know, that can really lead to racism, prejudice, discrimination, and just this firmly held internal belief that they're better and they're always going to be better, you know. All of these things are worth considering as possibilities with this young man. What has happened is a complete tragedy because there's a lot going on at the core when racism, I should say, pops up. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of these theories, and my heart goes out to those who have lost their loved ones. I'm so sorry that this has happened to you. I do hope that we are able to prevent future situations like this. No one deserves this. Thank you so much for being with me in today's video. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful. Hit that subscribe button and bell button if you want to stick around with me. And stay tuned for my video on Sunday, which is going to talk about religious trauma. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you in the next video.